Welcome to Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. I'm Peter Gross, co-host of the original Wild Kingdom with Marlon Perkins and Jim Fowler. For more than 50 years, Wild Kingdom explored wildlife and our natural world. Tonight's episode, and many others, focus on the timeless value of wildlife conservation. Wild Kingdom played a critical role in changing public attitudes about the importance of animals for the health of our planet and our own quality of life. We challenge viewers to learn about animals and get involved in conservation in their local communities. That call to action resulted in more visits to local zoos, nature preserves, and even observing animals in their natural habitats. And that connection with animals benefits all of us in the Wild Kingdom. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
Boy, you made it after all. Hello, welcome to Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Looks like WK here is expecting a cold spell. These warm clothes of his, however, are right in style because we're going on a trip to the top of the world, to the remote, forbidding region of the Arctic Circle. But WK won't have much use for these snowshoes. Only a small part of the Arctic is actually under ice year-round. And bleak and barren as this land may seem, it harbors an amazing variety of wildlife, including two of the largest and most powerful animals in the Wild Kingdom. The polar bear, the most powerful of all bears. The huge walrus, weighing up to as much as 3,000 pounds. I went to the Arctic to take part in an attempt to capture a young walrus from a herd of these gigantic animals and to join the Canadian Wildlife Service in trapping polar bears for conservation studies. Both animals are becoming increasingly rare, and today they are literally threatened with extinction. It was an unforgettable journey to a strange and awesome land. Our trip began in the great wilderness of northern Canada, on Southampton Island. We were at the northern edge of Hudson Bay, Canada's great inland sea. Plowing through the bay's icy waters, we're aboard the Kernurk, bound for Coates Island, where we'll join a polar bear trapping expedition. Low-flying murres searching for fish are a welcome reminder that we're nearing land. This unnamed island is well known to Eskimos as a hauling out place, where migrating walrus herds congregate, resting on their journey. We'll check the island to see if any walrus have arrived yet. With me is Dr. Al Oming, director of the Alberta Game Farm, and our Eskimo crew. Tuma, our guide, has brought along his son, Albert, to act as an interpreter. Tuma speaks no English, but he knows these waters well. A polar bear. Excellent swimmers, they sometimes cover great distances. And just beyond the bear, walruses coming in to rest on the island's rocky shore. We'll go in for a closer look. Tuma slows the boat and keeps us steady, steering with his feet while he keeps watch topside. Al Oming and I will attempt to capture a youngster if we can find one the right age. We'll tag him and release him back to the herd to help trace their migratory movements. The adults are much too large for capture, weighing up to 3,000 pounds. We've landed just beyond some rocky slopes where other small herds have gathered to rest. We'll have to be extremely careful making our approach. Al outlines the strategy. Stay downwind, move slowly, and keep low, using the rocks and ridges for cover. If they spot us, they'll probably head for the water. The shore is covered with walruses, but in 2 weeks they'll all be gone, continuing their journey, following the seasonal movements of the pack ice. Maybe we can get closer. There's what we're looking for, a youngster, not more than 4 months old. Keeping low against the sky, we can move quite near without alarming them. The youngster is just the right age for our study of these fascinating animals. They've spotted us now, and the adults have surrounded the baby. Walruses are among the most protective of their young of all animals. Capture will be extremely difficult. Eskimos depend on the walrus for meat and ivory, and we'll observe one of their beliefs about these animals. Eskimos never hunt walrus at their hauling out place. They believe the walruses will never return if they hunt them here. These huge animals are slow moving on land, but unfortunately we'll have to try our capture away from this hauling out place in water, where they can move quickly and bring those tusks into play. Al has headed back to the canoe, and I want to investigate a sound coming from just beyond this ridge. There's the answer, a colony of murre nesting on the steep cliff. The number of murre that can find enough room to raise families on this rocky cliff is amazing. They're packed in like soldiers. The young are raised from conical eggs that won't roll off the narrow ledges. We must leave soon for our rendezvous on Coates Island, but I can't resist the long way back over this bleak high plateau. The Arctic abounds with animal life, and on this treeless tundra, many different species can be found. Just ahead, a flash of white, a snowy owl. It's a wary bird, and it has spotted me. Just now, it's distracted by some approaching caribou. Caribou are one of the Northland's most common animals. Their antlers are still in velvet. The low tundra grasses offer good grazing, and great caribou herds roam the Arctic. Across the plateau from the caribou, I notice some other grazing animals. They haven't seen my approach. Muskox. That long, shaggy coat provides good insulation against the Arctic cold. The muskox move off, and it's time to continue our journey to Coates Island. But we'll return for our walrus. We left the walrus herd and continued our journey to Coates Island, our rendezvous point with Dr. Charles Jonkel of the Canadian Wildlife Service. I had heard much about his work with polar bears, and I was eager to meet him as our canoe bumped ashore on the island's rocky coast. Just beyond the beach, Dr. Jonkel waits in the little amphibious vehicle that will carry us over this uninhabited island. The forbidding tundra makes field projects difficult, but Canada has done extensive research on the habits of bears. This present study focuses on population, reproduction, growth, and migration. This island is a good hunting ground for the bears, and Dr. Jonkel says that he's captured a young bear in one of his traps. We're nearing the baited trap just ahead. There it is. What a beautiful animal. Polar bears are extremely dangerous. They're aggressive animals when approached too closely. It looks like the bear is securely snared. It's a young male. The cable grips his paw tightly but causes no injury. But before we can get close enough to make our studies, we'll have to immobilize the animal. Dr. Jonkel uses a special gun that shoots an automatic syringe. The target is the bear's neck. A perfect shot. The dart quickly injects its contents, a powerful drug that will soon block the bear's muscular control. Now to wait for the drug to take effect. There he goes. Just a little longer. It's safe to approach now. The bear has completely lost control of his voluntary muscles. He's still conscious, but he just can't move. This is a fine, healthy animal, ideal for Dr. Jonkel's studies. We've got a lot to do before the drug begins to wear off. The bear must be marked, measured, and weighed. The snare will no longer be needed to hold the bear. Dr. Jonkel's assistant has followed us from the beach in another vehicle. We'll need his help to handle this fellow. Canada's field research effort is being coordinated with those of Alaska, Denmark, Norway, and the Soviet Union. It's new ground, and much basic information is yet to be learned about the habits and characteristics of these animals. One of our first jobs is to mark the bear for identification. If it is recaptured later, much can be learned about its growth and its seasonal migrations, which may be extensive. Dr. Jonkel uses several marking systems for insurance. Into each ear, he inserts a bright metal tag with an identification number. From now on, this bear has a name, 531. In case the bear should lose the metal tags, Dr. Jonkel tattoos the identification number inside the lower lip. The tattoo is perfect, and it should provide permanent identification. If this bear is captured again, or if it is killed by Eskimo hunters, it can be identified as the young bear Dr. Jonkel caught today on Coates Island. With the bear marked, we'll measure and weigh it. Only careful, detailed field studies like this can begin to shed light on the many mysteries still surrounding the polar bear. Now to see how big this fellow is. Some of these animals grow to lengths of 10 feet or more, but he's still young with some growing still to do. 6 feet 2 inches. Now for the last measurement. The bear watches the whole operation, but he can't move a muscle. Many authorities fear that the polar bear may become extinct before we learn much about it. Dr. Jonkel's research is touched with a sense of urgency. An injection of antibiotic protects the bear against any infections. Now for the final job, weighing the animal. Polar bears are among the biggest of all bears, and a large one might weigh well over 1,000 pounds. A young one like this won't be nearly that heavy. I'll attach the net to the bottom of the scale, and we'll hoist him up off the ground to check his weight. "384 pounds. Dr. Junkel has all his measurements, and soon the polar bear will recover from the drug with no ill effects. But he'll carry a bright blue tag as he wanders the tundra and pack ice at the top of the world." Leaving the polar bear and Coates Island behind, we retraced our path to the herd of walrus. We had sighted several youngsters of the right age, but taking one from the protective herd would be no easy task. As our boat cruised just offshore, I kept my eyes on the rugged coast. Tuma takes the watch, looking for swimming walrus, while Al Oming and I test the rig we've designed especially for this capture. A strong rope acts as a drawstring to the net suspended within this hoop. The rope is attached to the hoop with a light thread, so a strong tug will pull it free. Then the rope will tightly close the net, preventing the animal inside from escaping. We should be able to haul it safely aboard. These are walrus waters, and there's a small herd swimming just ahead. There are several youngsters. Tuma will have to steer us right next to the swimming giants. Now we're close enough. It's no use. They're too quick. Tuma spots another herd swimming ahead on the other side. The herd is beginning their long seasonal migration. If we can catch and tag a youngster, we may be able to trace these migratory movements. We're closing the gap. There's a break in the shoreline. Two females and a youngster have left the herd, and we follow as they head into the cove. In this quiet water, we should be able to get closer. They've taken refuge in a narrow crevice. If Tuma can bring us into position, we may be able to block the entrance so they can't escape. We've sealed them off. Working the net from the shore, we should have a much better chance of getting our youngster. But it won't be easy to get past his angry mother. One slip on these steep rocks and we'll be under those slashing tusks. The youngster's two protectors keep in between them. Al thinks the second walrus is a relative. Working the net past those flashing tusks will be difficult. They try to keep the youngster under them as they attack our net. If we can catch the youngster, he'll be tagged and returned to his mother in a matter of minutes. Albert's managed to slip a snare over the baby. Now, if we can control him, we may be able to work the net over him. But it seems impossible to net the youngster. The adults keep pushing him under. Now, he's in the net. The net's holding him. This footing is treacherous. One misstep and we'll be in the churning water. Our plan is to work the baby over to the boat where the space is too narrow for the adults to follow. Now to pull him in. We'll need all hands for this job. A baby this size weighs about 400 pounds. We're getting him. In he comes. To my knowledge, this is the first time a young walrus has been netted in the water. If we hadn't found the little cove, we might never have gotten him. What a battle these animals put up. Now to move the boat. Tuma watches for rocks as he backs out of the crevice. This fellow's mother will stay right alongside, and she'll have her youngster back safe and sound in just a few minutes. Our capture net worked beautifully. I'd put this little fellow's age at about 3 or 4 months. It's amazing how quickly he's calmed down. He seems to have no fear of us. He'll be almost 2 years old before his tusks are long enough to dig for shellfish on the ocean floor. Till then, his mother will nurse him. And he'll rejoin her as soon as we put an identification tag in his flipper. Al is as delighted as I am. A baby walrus captured in the chill waters of its Arctic home. Even though the walrus and polar bear live in one of the most inaccessible regions of the world, this has been no protection against the gradual eradication of the species through overhunting. The vital conservation work of the Canadian Wildlife Service and conservationists around the world may eventually save the polar bear from the extinction it seems headed for now, and enable the walrus herds to increase in number. Only through such enlightened programs of wildlife management can the fragile wonders of our animal heritage be safeguarded for the enjoyment of future generations. In the remote lands of the Arctic, as everywhere on our shrinking globe, man is the ultimate ruler of the wild kingdom.
Like what you saw? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more exclusive content. And visit our website at wildkingdom.com.